Hey.
Hey, welcome to Every Dull Moment. Today is definitely not too dull of a moment, I hope. Thank you for joining us as always. I really want to give you guys my thoughts on sharpening Sheffcut. If you guys had a chance to check out the Rowland video, Rowland, sorry dude. We always have a little discussion in our house. How do we say that? Rowland Cutlery. My wife will get a close-up real quick of the knife and the info on this particular Heat Treat 64 Sheffcut Kritsuke. Does it say 240 millimeter? Mm-hmm. Okay. I have to tell you, just so you know, this has become very much a favorite knife of mine in the house. He would be happy to know that. I grab it all the time. I love the Force patina. And it was sharp out of the box. My wife said 115 and 133. We went back to the video to check. And he did a great job of getting it to us. We wanted to go ahead and sharpen it today, so I could give you my thoughts on sharpening it. And I needed something to compare it to. So I went to the best steel on earth, and I went to white number 1. So this is a Nakagawa white number 1. It's never been sharpened in this house. So what I did was I put them both through their paces, literally sharpening each knife on the stone and then going to the next stone. So let me explain the process. First of all, we took each knife, both equal in length. I mean, other than the K-tip kind of exceeding it, 210 millimeter, 240 millimeter. Mm-hmm. The heat treat on this is a 64 versus the 62, 61, 62. So you say it's a harder knife, which should be able to get a sharper edge, so to speak, but it also depends on the chemical makeup. And if you guys follow the show, or if you've been following knives and you're into them, the makeup of, whoa, my wife is going crazy over here with dogs.
Do not eat the basket.
Dogs are eating baskets over here, so we gotta watch out for the dogs.
Sorry.
So what you've got going on is you've got different chemical makeups, okay? And so the Sheffcut is the British version of spicy white. Spicy white is kind of the, I guess, American version of Hitachi white steel. And so this is just going to be pure carbon and iron. I mean, it's as simple as it gets. You know, there's not really like other things in there. And that's why it's so simple and clean. It gets really sharp. It gets a really good grain structure. And because it's a white number 1, it's very brittle, even though it's not heated quite as high as this. This can get heated to different different people, different heights. You can get it hot you can get it hard. This one in particular is just not quite as hard as this. This one, the particular thing, it has other ingredients, but Niobium is the big additive out of England. And what it does is create wear resistance. And of course, so every time you add something to a knife, you create carbides. And these carbides, they do give you that hardness, that wear resistance, and at the same time you have to cut through them. It's not like vanadium, which is extremely hard to get through. But I wanted to sharpen it to see like how easy was it to sharpen, how sharp could I get it. And like I said, the knife was nice and sharp when it got to us, but we went back and looked out of the box. 115 and 133 were the two different places that we saw from the video when we did the best tester. So here's what we did. We took both of these knives and we got these stones, and we started with, let me see what we started with. We started with the Hyper King soaking stone, and it was completely freshly lapped. We always use the Nano Home products. We do have a Toma, but we're using the Nano Home products here. So we use the NL4 to really get it nice. And if it was a finer grit stone, we did the NL8, just a note. The NL8 is discontinued. The NL10 is the wider version of this, but this is the ultra fine stone. So that way we can make sure we didn't mess up the coarseness of each stone. We then lapped the stone that we were doing to make sure it was level. And we used knife number 1, which would be the white number 1 steel. We got a burr, and we could feel like how long did it take and what was the size of the burr. And as we felt that, we put the knife down, and just so you know, also for argument's sake, we did edge leading and edge trailing strokes on each stone up to 8K, and no more edge leading strokes after 8K. So what did we end up doing? We did a 1,000 grit stone. After we sharpened the first knife, we lapped it. We made sure it was level and fresh for the next knife. So then we did it again, and I can tell you that each of them took an equal amount of time to get the burr, and the burr was the same size. And it was pretty much a micro burr. It wasn't like this super aggressive thing. You could feel it was even and you could tell it was there. But yeah, I felt like you had to work for it, especially if I had to say a little bit longer on this one, maybe it took a little bit longer. Again, it's a harder knife, but the burr was very micro. And then we went to the next stone. So the next stone was the Tajiro, actually made by Naniwa, 4000. It's extremely hard. Once we did that, again, edge trailing and then edge leading strokes. Again, once we used it on the very first knife, after, you know, we lapped it so that way it was fresh for the next knife. We never wanted it to have load on it. We never wanted it to know that a knife was treated any differently. Okay, and then after the 4000, we went to the King Super Finishing Stone 6000. Again, freshly lapped, used, lapped again, used, and each time. I will say on the Sheffcut, it wasn't that I was necessarily looking for a burr when I was getting to the polishing stones, but it definitely felt like it was harder to, like I had to trust myself. Versus on the white, it almost felt like it got a burr, even though you weren't necessarily looking for it. After that, we got to the Sahiro Snow White. Okay. Mm-hmm. So again, the same treatment, used, lapped, used. And then we finished with the Nanohone 10K. After the 10K, remember on the 10K, there was no edge leading strokes. Each knife was cleaned of the particles with a spray before going to the next stone. Always fresh water used. That's why we have water. Then each knife was treated to kangaroo tail. Okay. And because the hardness is above 60, you make sure that you strop at the same as the sharpening angle. We use the rough side and then the smooth side to make sure that we remove the burr or wire edge, so to speak. After that, believe it or not, I have 1 micron gunny juice. So it says 1 micron G on this. This is a great paddle strop from Tokushu Knife, by the way. I like it. I got into the paddle straps because of Ryan Swanson. I appreciate him just. So then the very last thing to give it the ultimate, we then use gunny juice 5 micron on gunny cloth.
0.5, yeah.
0.5 micron, excuse me, 0.5 micron. Mm-hmm. And we did it on the gunny cloth, which is on the side. Okay, so I mean, we did everything that we could do.
And there's video.
And there's a video. I should be throwing clips in there, above this, a little B-roll for you. Wow. I went and did all this work. My wife's cooking dinner and doing things around the house. She's ready to kind of film this. And then we ran into an issue. The white number one, as you expect, to getting sharp. Yeah. I mean, it was sharp. There were places on the knife. You know how it's a best tester gets different places. I mean, I had a 51 in a spot. I had 90. On the average, I'd say most of it was 100 and like at 100. I mean, it was anywhere from 90 to 100. Even though I had like a really sharp spot on there, it didn't seem like work. Like I did a sharpening, boom, there it was. No big deal. Go on about your day. No, I was frustrated because this knife got every bit of treatment as the other, and it was not. It was 154, things like that. So I'm like, that's on me. I must have bumped it. I did something wrong. Let's treat the knife right. So I sharpened it again. And my wife was, kind of ready to shoot the show and everything like that. And So we started over. We started at the 1000 and we did the entire thing again. And I gave it more attention. I gave it more love than the other. Every stroke counted, right? I have to get it below 150. So we looked up on the show to see that the knife prior came to us 115 and 133. So I had a personal vendetta, like I have to beat those scores. And I did, 109. I had to work for it. What does that tell me? Well, the Niobium, it does make, for the better wear and the harder knife, it makes for a nice cut. But in the end, I look forward to maybe messing around with different stones and stuff like that. I look forward to, I think maybe I would have needed to take this knife originally on something lower than a 1000, set the apex on something like a 400, a 500.
Because it's harder.
And I think that I could get it sharper. And I look forward to doing that in the future. What was the point of the entire experiment? I just did a regular sharpening and got this. This one was a little work. Now, with that being said, if you get there, this one holds its edge longer. That would be, but I wanted to give you my feedback on that. So in the end, as far as like sharpness, on the white, it was everything that you expected it to be. In every little spot, right? It just...
Careful.
And again, normal. Okay, let's get a fresh one. But it was no extra effort. To get it. On the other one, extra effort was needed. So does that mean that, now, did we get it sharp? Sure. Is that me just on a... Now you can tell it's louder.
Do you think because it's thicker, it looks
It's
thicker?
a little duller. it's slightly duller, It's, we always know on the show. But again, we got all the spots.
Is the blade itself thicker, is my question.
No. Okay, so you want
I don't, I only know a little bit, so.
Behind the edge, maybe, but I think the edge of this knife is pretty thin.
Too hard for me to see because you're not holding them straight.
I understand.
Okay.
So again, more to the point was, obviously, white steel, a regular simple effort to sharpen. Probably have to sharpen it more often. I really couldn't get this into, see, it went a little bit and then tore. Where I could use the same exact paper towel on this one.
Nope.
So.
It's like, don't do it again.
Now, again, I grab this knife constantly. One of the things that I absolutely love, I love the force patina. I don't worry about it. I love the knife. I love the performance of the knife. My wife will tell you I grab this knife probably more than any knife in the house. This and the Chinese cleaver, the CCK, I just literally grab them and use them constantly. I like the simplicity of it and everything. But again, if you like to sharpen knives and you don't want to be frustrated, the white did that. But I wanted to give you so the Sheffcut isn't trying to be white steel. But I needed to compare it. I needed to tell you something about it so that you knew. And that's what I wanted to tell you, that I was casually going about my day. I didn't know I had to bring like my A game, so to speak. Like I just, sharpen the knife, boom, look at that. Like no big deal.
I don't know how much of the video he's going to include, but I'm
I'm just going to show you. I'm just going through my thing.
There's over an hour.
But my point of it is I had to go, wait a minute, wait. I got to pay attention. Like before I was just, and this one was like, wow, okay. I've got to actually think and work hard and stuff. So again, I am looking forward to sharpening this again, a third time, with a coarser stone to set the apex. But I just wanted to give you my thoughts on the steel. And again, if you do get the knife sharp, obviously it's designed to hold its edge much longer, so then you won't have to do it as often. But again, absolutely wonderful knife. I don't know how many of you guys are getting hold of the Sheffcut steel here in America. This is out of England. It's nice to know that an American knife maker is doing that. Hitachi steel in America is very hard to come by and very expensive. If you can get it out of Japan, it's not cheap. I'm not sure the price point for the maker, but again, a great steel. 109 is a fantastic score. Was I shocked when I saw like one place at a 50? No. Have I gotten knives below a 50? Yes. So the same guy sharpened 2 knives with the exact same stones all the way, and this one was a little bit more work. So if you get the Sheffcut and you're having some problems, it's not necessarily you. You know, it could just be that the makeup of the knife is what's frustrating you. But I'm glad you checked in with us today on our thoughts. Hopefully you learned something about the knife that you purchased or a knife that you might be purchasing in the future. Again, would I shy away from Rowland Cutlery? Absolutely not. I love what he's doing and I appreciate the knife. It's a wonderful collection. As far as this Nakagawa, in case you guys have questions, this is Fred Mango's Zahocho knife. I know it's always sold out. Beautiful knife. Absolutely love it as well. Gorgeous. And a very original pattern on it, I might say. But you can see the workshop was in full effect. And as always, you guys are just amazing. Thanks for joining us again, going into 3.5 years. Wow. Wow. Okay, great 2024. We'll see you next week.